morning. I'm so pleased that some of the seniors after 3 years know that when we say good morning, we want that hearty good morning back. So let's try it one more time. Good morning. That was impressive. It is wonderful to have you all back here. It got a little quiet over the summer. It's nice to have the building buzzing again with the students, the faculty, and staff. So I have the best job of the day because I get to provide the welcome to everyone. And I want to start off by welcoming our newest class, the class of 2021. I cannot count how many people have come up to me and said, "This new class, they have energy. They're excited." And I agree. So I've heard that Sodexo was the loudest on Friday with all of the new sophomores compared to any other class. So let's give yourselves a round of applause for that. Thanks for bringing the energy. Welcome back, class of 2020. You're not the newbies anymore. You know how this works, right? It's very exciting. And we couldn't start the year without our faculty and staff and all of our honored guests, right? Let's give them a round of applause. And last but certainly not least, the people who have finally arrived and are seated on the floor this year, the class of 2019, our seniors. Welcome back. You know, for several years, I was out in the halls in the morning, and I loved being out in the halls because I saw everybody dressed up, taking pictures, up, awake, alive, alert, early in the morning. But I have to say, being here this morning was even more exciting, and watching everybody come in, because nobody had their earbuds in, nobody was looking down on their phone, everybody was smiling, they were talking to their peers, bright-eyed, bushy-tailed, early, looking your best. And I think it's such a great way for us to start off the year. And I hope that some of that will carry with us throughout the academic year. I hope that when you show up every single day, you show up with the same level of energy and excitement to be here and to learn and to teach your peers. And if you were early every single day for classes, that wouldn't be a bad thing either, right? So let's keep it going. Let's have a great year. And once again, welcome back. So now I'm going to turn it over to your Student Council President to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance.
Please stand and face the flag as we say the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. You may now take your seats. Good morning, everyone. My name is Vinay Tamarkota, and I'm honored to serve as the Student Council President for the upcoming school year. How many of you, when you were kids, were afraid of the dark? Raise your hand. I also used to be afraid of the dark. When I was little, my mom used to ask me and my little brother to get milk from the basement for her. Neither of us wanted to do it, and we would both make really lame excuses not to go downstairs, even though we knew the real reason why we didn't want to go was because we were both terrified of the scary, dark basement. Looking back on the experience of being scared of the dark basement, it really does seem silly. It's not like the darkness could punch me or insult me. So why did I fear the dark so much that I didn't want to do a simple task like getting milk from the basement? Today, I want to find the answer to that question. And we're gonna use something that IMSA loves to do. We're gonna use some inquiry-based learning to find the answer. So let's try and mimic the darkness as best as we can. I want everyone to close your eyes, unless you're on ISP, because that would be bad. And then, once you've closed your eyes, try to be as quiet as possible. As you delve into the darkness, all you can hear are small sounds and my voice echoing throughout the gym, with these other sounds not being very familiar to you. You try looking around you, but your eyes are shut. You aren't able to see anything. You even try to smell the darkness, but the darkness has no defining scent. There is no smell. You may try and taste the darkness, but that's a futile effort. The darkness has no taste. You might try and touch the darkness. You might even accidentally hit another person or the bench in front of you. But the darkness slips right through your fingers. You can't touch the darkness. Now, everyone can open your eyes. You might be thinking, Vinay, that was a completely pointless exercise, and I learned nothing from it. But you'd be wrong. You actually learned a lot from it. You learned that darkness can't be seen, smelled, touched, or heard. Using all of your faculties of perception, you couldn't gain any information about darkness. But maybe that's why we fear darkness the most. Darkness is the absence of information, and we're afraid of the dark because it's the embodiment of everything we don't know about the world. I would argue that fear of the dark is the IMSA students' greatest fear. It's the fear of everything we don't know. For students who are extremely intelligent, as IMSA students are, the idea of not knowing something can shatter our entire worldview. I think this is especially true for sophomores. Each year at IMSA is almost like entering a dark basement for the first time. There are so many things we don't know about how the journey will end up. Sophomores, you may wonder how hard it will be to transition to the new environment here. Juniors, you may wonder how you'll get work done with your I-days being used for SIR or internships. And seniors, we may think that we're at the top of the chain, but we will start applying to colleges soon. We will wonder what our futures are beyond IMSA. And I could stand here and list all of the questions we have about the things that remain in the dark for us, but that's actually pointless. Everyone faces some amount of darkness in their lives. Everyone experiences insecurity at some point. Everyone fears the things that they don't know. So the right question isn't, how can I avoid darkness? It's actually, how am I going to eliminate the darkness once I'm already in it? If you're thinking about darkness in the physical sense, then the answer would be light. But in the real world, shooting photons at your problems won't make them go away. Unless you're taking modern physics, in which case that should work just fine. But if you're not taking modern physics, then the way to eliminate our fear of the darkness, our fear of the unknown, is through a different type of light, the light of knowledge. You see, every single person here is a beacon of knowledge. You all have unique experiences, skills, personalities, and thoughts, and you were all chosen to come here because of those qualities. And the knowledge that you possess can oftentimes be the light for someone else's darkness. Sophomores and juniors, you may struggle in some of your classes, But even if you struggle, there are 200 students sitting in this very auditorium who have taken the same courses you have. They are lights of knowledge in your times of darkness. My fellow seniors, we will be forced to think about colleges and our futures after IMSA. But even if we struggle, and we know we'll struggle with that, there are thousands of alumni who have gone through the pain of leaving a school that they cherish so much. They are lights of knowledge in our times of darkness. Some of us may feel uncomfortable at times because we miss home. But even if we struggle with adjusting to our new homes here, our RCs are there to help us navigate through these problems. They are lights of knowledge in our times of darkness. And during our time at IMSA, many of us will at some point discover a concept we don't understand, a formula that doesn't make sense, an essay we just can't write. But even if we struggle, our teachers have years of experience under their belt, mastering the subjects that they are so passionate about teaching. They are the brightest lights of knowledge that shatter the darkness we face. At the end of the day, it's only when we share our knowledge with each other that we are all able to overcome the darkness that naturally exists in the world. When we share our knowledge with each other, we become unafraid to venture out into the new world. We open new doors for ourselves. We radiate brilliance. We become creative, ethical, scientific minds that will advance the human condition. Thank you. Now please give a warm welcome to our president, Dr. Torres.
"286, 196, 162. What's the pattern or relationships? What do these numbers represent? 286, 196, 162. Come on, this is a mathematics academy. Would it help if I told you that these numbers have something to do with June 1, 2019? 286 is the number of all days between today and June 1, 2019. Does anyone know the significance of June 1, 2019? So what is 196? 196 is the number of all business days, excluding weekends and holidays, between today and June 1, 2019, graduation day for the class of 2019. Are they in the house? You won't get 162 unless I tell you what it is. 162 is the number of all classroom days, excluding weekends and holidays, excluding extended weekends and final exams between today and June 1, 2019. That's a pretty awfully short year, Dr. Hernandez. Good morning and welcome to Convocation 2018. Class of 2019, let's not be too anxious for graduation day. Pretty soon you will be walking across the stage, receiving your diplomas and medallions, and leaving IMSA. Over the past few days, I've had the opportunity to welcome many of you during moving day, and I want to again welcome those of you who I might not have had a chance to welcome. To the class of 2019 and 2020, welcome home. To the class of 2021, welcome to the IMSA family. Now I want to recognize some VIPs, very important people. Board of Trustee member, Dr. Sherrick. House Representative Linda Chapalavia. I would also like to welcome and recognize our ambassadors and emeriti. These are former employees who have dedicated many years to IMSA and have retired with distinction after 10 years of service. from IMSA. Please stand, those who are ambassadors and emeriti. A special guest with us today is Dr. Judy Vargas, wife of Ambassador Jim Bondi, IMSA's first Chief of Security. Welcome, Judy. We also have another very special group that I call VS VIPs, very special, very important people. IMSA faculty, IMSA staff, and resident counselors, please stand. Today we live in what some have called the fourth industrial revolution, one that is transforming industries all over the world. Artificial intelligence, additive manufacturing, Internet of Things, self-driving vehicles, quantum computing, and biotechnology. This morning, I only have time to explore 3 of these exponential technologies that are part of this industrial revolution and are transforming our world. I want to ask you, students and faculty members and staff, to consider where these technologies will be 20 years from now, in the year 2028. And I want also you to consider the ethical implications of these advances. In light of IMSA's missions that Vinay mentioned, to ignite and nurture creative, ethical, scientific minds, I believe that we ought to consider the ethics of exponential advances. The first exponential technology that I want to discuss with you is autonomous or self-driving vehicles. Already, 28 states have considered 98 bills on the general topic of autonomous or self-driving vehicles. And these policies, laws, and regulations are what I would call pixels in a great portrait of ethical considerations. Self-driving vehicles already pick up passengers in cities such as Boston, Pittsburgh, and Phoenix. Embark, founded in 2016, is a company of self-driving semi-trucks that started shipping refrigerators regularly from Texas to a distribution center in Southern California. They already completed a coast-to-coast 2,400-mile, 5-day trip from California to Florida. This exponential technology, autonomous vehicles, will not only disrupt jobs, truck drivers, taxi drivers, and now Uber drivers, but it will also have implications for car insurance, car ownership, for when or if anyone gets a driver's license. What about implications for parking, commuting, and suburban living? Ethics. For example, suppose you are programming an autonomous vehicle, given a forced choice between driving into a crowded crowd of people, or driving into a single baby stroller, or an old man with a cane or a walker, or a tree killing the passenger. What would you do? How would you program that self-driving vehicle? Our ethical stance will drive, pun intended, or inform our software programming of autonomous or self-driving vehicles. A second exponential technology that I want to mention today is additive manufacturing or 3D printing. Have all of you visited the makerspace at Into? Great. Now you're invited. Additive manufacturing technology is now being used creatively to make everything from jewelry to fashion to aerospace. They have already 3D printed jet engine parts. If you flew this summer, you might have been benefited from these 3D printed engine parts. You might also know that this technology is being used medically to create dentures, bones, and even human organs, and other body parts such as limbs, vascular systems, using groundbreaking 3D bioprinting techniques. Today, 3D printing advances are already achieving remarkable things. How much more disruptive this technology will be in 20 years, by 2028? In 2014, for example, surgeons in Britain used 3D printed parts to reconstruct the face of a motorcyclist, Stephen Powers, who had been seriously injured in a motorcycle accident. In October of last year, a 20-year-old woman, Penelope Heller, was fitted with a custom 3D printed sternum and rib cage at the New York Presbyterian Weill Cornell Medical Center. She suffered from a rare bone cancer. And in January, scientists in China printed ears for 5 children who had a condition called microtia, in which the ear is underdeveloped. This was a cosmetic surgery since the ear could not really function or process sounds. What jobs will be created because of this exponential technology? What are the ethical implications of 3D printing? What if every person on the planet, no matter their country, socioeconomic status, political affiliation, everyone in the world had a 3D printer that could print clothes, food, currency, body parts, weapons? Earlier this summer, we saw some of the ethical implications and issues about 3D printing guns, didn't we? 19 states joined together this month to seek to block a settlement that the Trump administration reached with a company that wants to post online plans to make firearms on a 3D printer, a gun called the Liberator. The ethical issues around 3D printing are just emerging because policies, regulations, and laws significantly lag behind exponential technologies and their advancement. The last exponential technology that I want to mention is artificial intelligence, or AI. Fortunately, there are hardly any ethical implications with AI, aren't there? Have you heard of the AI robot that passed the college entrance exam? The Todai robot was able to write a 600-word essay on the maritime trade in the 17th century that was good enough to pass the college entrance criteria. Take that, Dr. Clay Skinner. Noriko Arai, AI expert and member of the team that built the robot, explains in her TED Talk that this wasn't because it possessed intelligence, but rather because it recognizes key words. Our robot took the sentences from the textbooks and Wikipedia and combined them together and optimized it to produce an essay that, without understanding a thing, Arai said. Sort of like how I built this speech. Not really. Students don't get any ideas about this. What can the Todai robot not do? Discover, create, find meaning, consider ethical questions as we have been doing this morning. One last thing to just illustrate what is happening in AI. Just last year, in October of 2017, a humanoid robot developed by Hanson Robotics named Sophia was granted citizenship in Saudi Arabia. Sophia made history by becoming the first IA to gain citizenship. What citizenship rights does Sophia have? Where will AI be in 20 years? I don't know, but I imagine that there will be lots of ethical considerations along the way. I also know that the speed of change and adoption of technology is accelerating exponentially. As Justin Trudeau says, the pace of change has never been this fast, yet it will never be this slow again. I am convinced that the mindset required of this new age of the fourth industrial revolution is one of exponential thinking, by which I mean recognizing technology's exponential growth rate and visualizing the future, not just 5, 10, or 20 years, but for a generation to come. For example, we cannot meet the goals of no poverty, gender equality, and climate action, 3 of the 17 United Nations Development Sustainable Goals, by thinking linearly. We need to envision double and 10x improvements using exponential technologies. We need to think exponentially. According to the World Economic Forum, we need 10 skills to survive what they call the robot invasion. In the interest of time, I'm only going to list, not amplify, the top 10 skills identified by the World Economic Forum. I will pause after each one to allow those of you with experience at IMSA, class of 2019, class of 2020, IMSA faculty and staff, RCs and VIPs, to reflect on how IMSA builds these skills into our students. Class of 2021, I have some good news for you. IMSA, you will learn these skills at IMSA in classrooms, through research and internship programs, through extracurricular programs, through athletics. Here are the 10 skills as identified by the World Economic Forum. Complex problem solving, critical thinking, creativity, people management, coordinating with others, emotional intelligence, judgment and decision making, service orientation, negotiation, cognitive flexibility. I would add 3 more skills to this list. I have already made my case for 2 of these skills, ethical thinking and exponential thinking. A third skill that I would add is deep work. Cal Newport defines deep work as the ability to focus on cognitively demanding tasks while quickly mastering complicated information and producing better results. Finally, as you can imagine, in a world of accelerating change, where the pace of change has never been this fast, yet it will never be this slow again, learning is a key competitive advantage. Eric Hoffer said, "Learners inherit the earth, while the learned find themselves beautifully equipped to deal with a world that no longer exists." As I close, let me leave you with 3 big questions that I hope you will reflect upon and discuss during lunch, during tomorrow's picnic, and with each other over the next few days. Question number 1, how can we balance innovation and mindful execution? Question number 2, how can we ensure that emerging technologies are actually solving more problems than they are creating? And question number 3, are we making lives better for others or just for ourselves? So let's brace ourselves for an amazing and fast year at IMSA. Thank you. Brings me great pleasure to introduce your principal, Dr. Bob Hernandez.
And thank you, Dr. Torres. And again, welcome everybody. And this is our 33rd convocation. Can you imagine that? Our 33rd. And so for the class of 2019, for your graduation year, this is an exciting time. I do want to mention about why people come to IMSA. And people are so excited, and sometimes we forget why we're here. Sometimes we forget the passion that we have about teaching, about being a resident counselor, about being a college and academic counselor, about working maintenance here. And so 2 quick stories about what happened the last couple of days. As we were bringing students in, it's kind of a flurry. And on Thursday morning, we had an incoming sophomore say they weren't coming. So Ms. Lofgren, our director of admissions, called up a student. The student was in class and had a special ringtone just in case Ms. Lofgren called, and got permission to use the phone in the class. Ms. Lofgren called. He stepped out of class. Ms. Lofgren said, "Do you want to come to IMSA?" He says, "I'll be there in an hour." Left class, went to the principal's office, got his parents, and he was here in about 2 hours. That's the exciting thing about coming, but it gets better. So we had an upperclassman on Saturday morning tell us that they weren't coming to IMSA. So sure enough, Ms. Lofgren, Ms. Berger, and I sat down and said, "We have space. Let's bring one more." So we called. We called the student. They lived close by, and the student went crazy. She gets to come to IMSA. 2 days after we started registration, but the student wanted to come so bad. They were here within the hour. And so we have to remember that excitement about coming to IMSA, that excitement about being here in this truly wonderful place. And we also remember that we are the #1 school in the nation, according to niche.com. So give yourselves a nice round of applause. You know, the rankings are one thing, but it's about our community. It's about who we are. It is about our faculty, about what they teach in the classroom and how they teach it. It's about the students. It's about the maintenance. It's about our resident counselors. It's about our college and academic counselors. It's about our facilities. It's about Rose, who greets you at the front desk. It's about our business office, who take care of people, our research office, all these other offices that make IMSA what it is. It's great. The security, taking care of us 24/7, no matter what. It's all of us put together that make this place such the amazing place that it is. But I want to share with you two things that I want for you as every single person in this community to do. So the first one is, and they're really things that you can do today. The first one I call the comfort zone. Too often we get comfortable in what we have, and we really don't think about moving forward or about improving ourselves. We sometimes think that we have the perfect syllabus, or we have the perfect study habits, or this is the perfect process. And we get too comfortable. And we need to just get out of that comfort zone. So there was a movie that came out a little bit ago, and it's a movie directed by Bo Burnham, and it's called 8th Grade. And I don't know if any of you have seen it, but you haven't, please go see it. For students, I think it's dead on about what goes on in 8th grade, all the things that happen to students. And it's like the end of the school year, the last 5 weeks of school. And the reason why I mention this, it's about the student, the main character, and what she goes through. And she tries to get out of her comfort zone. People see her as quiet. People see her as non-involved, voted most quiet, non-talkative. But she sees herself as something more, and she wants to do something about it. She goes to a party that she knows she's not wanted, that she knows that the other kids don't really know anything about her. She steps outside her comfort zone because she wants to be someone that she knows she is. The father in the movie, amazing as well, wants to help his child, but can't. So he steps out of his comfort zone many times throughout this movie. Stepping out is what's best. We must not just be complacent. Another example, anybody remember the nice big giant store called Blockbuster? Had a nice Blockbuster car, you got your videos, DVDs, all that stuff. They were #1 in the country. Amazing. Overnight, they were gone. They became complacent. They became comfortable with who they were. They were #1. And then the next day, they didn't exist. They became too complacent. And what I ask you to do is not become complacent. I'm asking you to step into a discomfort zone. Be uncomfortable and do something new. Be creative, be innovative, be an entrepreneur, be anyone that you like to be, but do something new. There's an author named Rasmus Ackerson who says, rethink your potential by making the world bigger and making yourself smaller. Jump into that discomfort zone. It's okay. The second item I want you to think about is take time to build relationships. We talk about this all the time, relationships. And when you talk to our alum, our amazing alum, they are just phenomenal people to talk with and truly engage in. You'll find out in a few minutes from Kiyomi. They say a lot of things about our faculty, how amazing they are. They talk a lot about the resident counselors, how much they cared about how the IRC, Gene Bigger taking care of them, and Angie Richardson, and then Minerva, and all these other people around. But it's about the relationships that they make here is what's most important. And we forget about that. We truly forget about that. So I ask of you, reach out to others, reach out to someone else in the community. So a lot of people, if you remember, there was a person around here named Keith McIntosh. And Keith was here for almost 30 years, and he was called the Man. And that was his call sign, but he was the man. Everybody knew Keith. Why did he know Keith? Because Keith made it a point every day to go to say someone new every day, whether it be a student, staff, faculty, the nurse's office, security, maintenance. He'd come back at night just to say hi, drop by for 10 minutes, and just see what they were up to. He knew that building that relationship was so important. When I first started here, I had a wonderful boss by the name of Dr. Luann Smith, and she was one of the first to be hired at IMSA, actually. And so when she sat me down that first day, she goes, "Okay, Bob, I want you just to go out and meet people." I'm like, "Oh, okay." So a few weeks later, she sat me down and says, "Okay, tell me who you've met." And I started rattling off all the students I knew. She goes, "Stop." I said, "Everybody." So for every week we meet, you got to tell me about someone new you met, a student and a staff member, someone from faculty. Go in and sit on their class. Go sit in the business office and find out what they do. Go sit in the library in the IRC and find out what happens up there. Go sit at the senior U bench, or if seniors won't allow you, kind of stand near it a little bit, and that's okay. But just see and just kind of introduce yourself. Go to the cafeteria and find somebody who's just sitting by themselves and walk up and say hello. It's about that relationship. And she taught me that that is what's important here. It's about those relationships. We can be number one in the country. We can be a global leader. But it takes time to build those relationships. We want to be this global leader. We will be the global leader. We will do that. We will also be a community that understands relationships. So I'm asking you, step outside that box. Let's take time to start. So what I want you to do is to take a moment out, not right now, but after we're done, is to go up and stop and say hello and ask how they're doing, but really mean it. Really mean what you say. "Hi, how are you doing?" And wait for a response. That will make all the difference. So as we start this year, it's an amazing time. This is my favorite day of the school year, Convocation 2018. It is the greatest time since the whole community is here together at one time. It is the only time when every single one of us is together. Let's enjoy this moment. I know we can do it, and we will build IMSA to be the great place that it is. Thank you so much. I would like now to introduce one of our guests, Luke Musgrave from the class of 2015. Please join me in welcoming him back to sing a song for us. Thank you.
Bright is the ring of words when the right man rings them. Fair the fall of song when the singer sings them. Still they are carols and sad, on wings they are carried. After the singer is dead and the maker buried, lo, as the singer lies in the fields of heather, songs in his fashion bring the swains together, and when the west is red with the sunset embers, the lover lingers and sings, and the maid remembers L'aurora di bianco vestita, già l'uscio ti schiude al gran sol, di già con le rosse sue dita, carezza di fiori lo stuol, commosso da un fremito arcano, intorno il creato già par, e tu non ti desti, ed invano mi stocchi dolento a cantar. Metti anche tu la veste bianca e schiudi l'uscio al tuo cantor, ove non sei la luce manca, ove tu sei nasce l'amor. Metti anche tu la veste bianca e schiudi l'uscio al tuo cantor, ove non sei la luce manca, ove tu sei nasce l'amor.
Luke, again, that was amazing. Can we give Luke another round of applause, please? I now have the distinct honor of introducing our keynote speaker today, Ms. Kiyomi Hamilton. She's the class of 2000. I'm reminded when the lead team introduces themselves, and they did it this past Saturday morning, and they introduce their names, and then they say something that they're passionate about. And it's really cool. They do this every year about passion. And it's kind of ironic because when I think of someone who's passionate, I think of Kiyomi. And ever since she came here in the fall of 1997, a little while ago, you can always know that there's something going on. She's so passionate about whatever she gets involved with. And you'll see in her bio that we have provided the plethora of things that she's been involved with, and she continues to grow. When I talk about the comfort zone and moving forward, she always likes that discomfort. She always likes to move forward, always thinking 2 steps ahead. I hope you enjoy her as much as I've enjoyed talking with her. Ladies and gentlemen, please give a nice IMSA welcome to our very own Kiyomi Hamilton.
Wow. Thank you so much for that wonderful introduction. I am really excited to be here today. It's an honor to be a part of a long-standing tradition. I want to take a moment to thank the IMSA faculty and staff, President Dr. Torres, Principal Dr. Bob Hernandez. Bob and I go way back. Luckily enough, when I was a student here, I never ended up in his office for disciplinary reasons. So I think I turned out okay. I also want to thank my family who's here today, my mom, my husband, my son. Can you guys give them a hand, please? They are sitting in the front row. My son was very specific. He says, "Mom, can you give me a shout out?" So hello, Tristan. And he'll be starting 4th grade at Avery Coonley this fall. To the sophomore class, the class of 2021. Wow. Welcome to the beginning of what I promise will be the 3 most transformative years of your life. Give yourselves a hand. Yes. See, my first day at IMSA was August 22nd, 1997. I'll say it again, August 22nd, 1997, right? I remember it well. I had an opportunity to meet my roommate, and my roommate and I are still wonderful friends to this day. She is, in fact, one of my best friends. And when I decided to change careers dramatically and pursue medicine, she's the first person I called. She's currently a physician, and I'm proud that we were able to meet here at IMSA today and make a wonderful connection here. So also, to the sophomore class, I want to say something particular to you. How many of you, when you came here, thought that IMSA might have made a mistake? Did anybody feel that way? Show of hands. It's okay. It's okay. Yeah, see? I knew you were out there. That's okay. I felt the very same way when I first came here. I was very intimidated and suffered from what they call imposter syndrome during my first 2 weeks of school. But I can assure you that they didn't make a mistake. You are here because you possess the talents and gifts that have yet to be realized. You are here because of the hard work set forth by both you and your parents. You are here because you embody the purpose and mission of IMSA. So don't worry. You are in the very, very capable hands of a community that's ready to embrace you. To my juniors, the class of 2020. Woo! Yeah, give yourselves a hand. As I will be celebrating right along with you during graduation time, as it will be my 20th year since graduating here. As you look ahead, be proud of your accomplishments. I'm sure you figured this place out by now, and I bet you guys already have your Clash of the Hall routines put together. Am I right? Do you guys still do that, the Clash of the Halls? Yeah. I remember junior year going by very, very fast. It was one of my busiest years here at the Academy. I was a student ambassador. I was actively involved in community projects both here as well as at home. I was on the Future Problem Solving Bowl team. I had to study for college entrance exams, so get ready. As you prepare for the future, think about what it's like to be new and be helpful to the sophomores. I promise it'll pay off later. To the seniors, yes. You're almost at the finish line. And I know it's early for senioritis, am I right? A little early? At least I hope so. Wait until the springtime, though. That's when it'll really kick in. But you'll want to finish strong. You want to be proud of the legacy that you leave behind. In fact, that's one of the topics that I came here to talk to you about today. When I was asked to speak about my time here, I thought about all the stories I would share, all the wonderful memories, but most importantly, I wanted to share with you the lessons that I learned. IMSA is truly a learning laboratory. So in addition to learning about chemistry and physics and BC calculus, I hope that you all take the time to embrace what life is teaching you. 3 fundamental lessons that I want to share today. Number 1, be your authentic self. The ability to be yourself is within itself a superpower. Let anyone who dares to know the real you be filled with your uniqueness. At times this may seem hard. You might even be afraid to reveal your authentic self, or you may still be figuring it out, and that's okay too. All of that becomes a part of your unique story. So whether you are from Effingham, Illinois, East St. Louis, Chicago, or Naperville, your family traditions, your friends, old and new, all of your experiences have shaped who you are today. When I began my IMSA journey, I was afraid to tell people where I was really from. See, I grew up in Inglewood on the south side of Chicago, and that was a neighborhood that was plagued with many social and economic challenges back then as it is today. I was afraid to tell people that I was raised by a single mother. I was afraid because I thought that people would judge me for my home life. and it would lend itself to a place where I didn't feel comfortable. But when I was here, it was when I discovered how to be truly my authentic self. To quote one of my favorite authors, Brené Brown, she said, authenticity is a collection of choices that we make each and every day. It's about the choice to show up and the choice to be real. The choice to let our true selves be seen. That was from the book, The Gifts of Imperfection, and I'm a recovering perfectionist. So when I discovered the book, The Gifts of Imperfection, it gave me more courage and certainly more direction to be my authentic self. I'm here to tell you today that it can be done. So let your authentic self show up each and every time, and you will not be disappointed. The second lesson that I want to share with you today is that you are in the midst of one of the most powerful networks. Dr. Hernandez spoke earlier today about relationships and connection, and my talk today is really going to highlight that point. Take a moment right now and look around the room. I mean, really look to your left, look to your right. Yeah, look at the people behind you. This is your network. This is your community, a group of interconnected, complex systems that operate on your behalf. Within this room right now is a future entrepreneur, a future doctor, a lawyer, a developer, and all-around change agents. There is nothing like the network of your peers and the community that you're a part of today. So be kind to each other. Cultivate these relationships as if your life depended on it. You'd be surprised at the benefits that you reap later. I have a few examples to share about my time here at Emsa and how being connected to the community has changed the trajectory of my life. Just a couple of months ago, I got a call from one of my Emsa friends. He was working for a startup company, and they were looking for someone to help them build their 24/7 servicing capability. They were getting ready to launch into new markets, and they really needed some help. And he called me up and he said, I couldn't think of a better person to help them than you. And I'm so grateful for that, because it led to an opportunity for me to be a part of world-changing technology. And it was because of the friendships that I developed here and the lifelong connections to each other that we had while at IMSA that we were able to make that happen. Another example was that during my senior year, I found out about an organization called Inroads. And Inroads is still around today. So their mission is to connect talented and underrepresented high school and college students to Fortune 500 companies and give them internships. So I applied, but I received a small envelope in the mail. Do you guys know what it means to get a small envelope in the mail? You do? Okay, so I don't have to, for those of you who don't, I want you to lean in because I'm gonna let you in on a secret if you don't know. When you get a small envelope in the mail, that's usually a rejection. It usually means no. But when you get that big packet, that lets you know that they want to share more information with you. So I got my envelope and I opened it up and I read it, and it said I did not get the internship. When I read the bottom of the envelope, of the letter, I said, this name looks very, very familiar. You see, I recognized the name because it belonged to a college representative that I'd met while at a career fair. So when I would go to fairs here, I would never go to the table that had all the students standing around. I always went to the tables of the lesser known schools because I wanted to know more about them. So I meet this college representative and his name ends up showing up at the end of this letter. So I call and I says, this is Kiyomi. I received a rejection letter and I want to know why. And he says to me, well, you didn't have all of the qualifications. And I thought, wait a minute, I have excellent grades, I have the right community service, and it was really just boiled down to me not having the right set of interview skills. And I thought, oh, so close. But then I asked him at the end of that conversation, I said, do you remember meeting somebody that would come and greet you at the table? And he said, yes, I do remember. I said, well, that was me. And he said, well, I know you. Why don't you tear up that letter and come down to my office? And when I came down to his office, I ended up bypassing the interview process altogether, beating out some really, really tough competition, and getting an internship at IBM. Yes. I became, at that time, the youngest intern in Central Region. And so that connection just changed a no to a yes. So you see, even a chance encounter with someone in the IMSA community can lead to great things. So don't take anyone here for granted. The third and final lesson that I want to share with you today is that it's really important to build a legacy. I know I challenged the seniors earlier to finish strong, but I really want to hone in this point because it's critical that each and every one of you makes every place that you go to better than it was than when you came. You owe a debt to those who came before you to pay it forward to those who come after you. It doesn't have to be a grand gesture, but it does have to be something meaningful. You can create a student organization that tackles problems you care about. Whatever it is, find something and make it better. When I thought about my lasting impact, it all started when I got involved with the early stages of educational outreach. Because I believed in IMSA's mission and wanted to expand access to programs outside of these walls, I became amongst one of the first students to actually develop curriculum for science explorers. And then I had a chance to teach that curriculum during summer camps. And I'm proud to see today that IMSA continues those camps and remains committed to educating students not just within these walls, but outside of the community. So I challenge you to find something you're passionate about. Whatever you do, you have an obligation to make it better, to pay it forward, and to see it come to fruition. I am counting on your legacy to make a lasting impact. So before I leave you today, I want to conduct a really brief thought experiment. I want you to take a few moments right now and imagine yourself being authentic, cultivating your network, and building a legacy. Once you have that thought, I want you to place your hands on your forehead just like this. And then I want you to take that thought and place it in your heart. And remember to carry your future selves with you each and every day as you go boldly out into the world. Thank you.
Again, one more nice round of applause for our very own Kiyomi Hamilton. So our 2018 convocation comes to an end. And we will continue our tradition that we have had in the past and will continue on in the future. I have just given Kiyomi our school bell. The school bell indicates a fresh start to this exciting new year. So I ask that Kiyomi ring in the bell to officially begin the 2018-19 school year. Please do the honors. Have a great day, a great year, and let's make IMSA the great place that it is. Thank you so much.